Hey there. This is my 1994 Honda Civic that I just bought from Pick and Pull. I drove it all the way home, so now we're going to go ahead and do some maintenance on it. First thing I'm going to do is timing belt, water pump. I'm going to do thermostat and gasket, considering it didn't fully get up to temperature, so I'm thinking thermostat's stuck open or partially stuck open. I don't know, we're going to replace that. That's a pretty cheap, easy maintenance item. I'm going to replace pretty much all the hoses that have coolant in them right now because they're all cracked, brittle, and old. This thing has 256,000 miles on it. It looks to be somewhat well maintained. There's a few parts on here that kind of make me question who owned it, and I don't know. It looks like it has some new spark plug wires. It has a little bit of a stumble kind of here and there. I'm thinking maybe the engine seems to run fine, but there's a little noise coming from the exhaust. So we're thinking maybe a plugged cat, unfortunately, but we're gonna see. It cleared itself out and it runs a little bit better after driving it a little bit. So we're gonna get all the maintenance stuff done and then we're gonna drive it for a little bit and see what happens. So let's get to that. Okay, so here we are a few minutes later. All I've done now is I've just put this little hoist here on the engine with a bolt going right here to support it. I took out all the bolts in this motor mount and pulled this motor mount out. I loosened up the AC belt down there. So I took out the AC belt. This thing has no power steering, so it's only the AC belt down there and the alternator belt. So I'm going to pull off the first belt and the second belt, and then we're going to crack into the timing cover. Okay, so it's been a few minutes here. I've pulled off the timing covers and checked the timing belt because apparently it was actually a really new belt on here. I also went ahead and pulled off the valve cover and checked the valve adjustment because Hondas, that's a regular service interval. You're supposed to check the valves on them. I'm going to replace the valve cover gasket, replace the VTEC solenoid gasket, the thermostat and gasket, and all the fluids, well, apart from the transmission fluid. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and keep doing that now. Okay, so here we are. I've got the valve cover off. I pulled off the VTEC solenoid back there. I also went ahead and replaced the thermostat and gasket. Here's the old thermostat. It looks pretty bad. The gasket especially was just toast. So I went ahead and replaced that. I just tightened down those bolts. Now I'm going to throw on a new lower radiator hose, a new upper radiator hose. Then I can fill it again with coolant because it looked like it was water that was in it before. I'm going to fill it with coolant. I'm going to just use some universal yellow stuff. And then I'm going to get to changing the oil and throwing valve cover and VTEC solenoid back on. Okay, so here we are in the shop. All I did was pull out this valve cover. To pull out these seals, what I found works best is to tap a little screwdriver or something in there. Just set it right up against the edge. Be careful not to dig into the metal here, but you just set it right up against the edge and tap this top with a hammer and then just pry it up and out. So that's how those come out. And to install the new ones, you're just going to set them in. Make sure they go the same way. You can install these wrong, but make sure they go the same way. And then tap them down flat with a hammer or something. Just make sure they're flat and be gentle with it because they're rubber. And then to get these ones off on the shorter ones, you can take like a socket or something and you can just set it right on top and smack that socket with a hammer and it'll knock the little rubber boot and metal bit off. For the longer ones, it's a little bit more difficult though. So you've got to cut it and just peel it off, and then new ones you can just press on. But anyway, I'm just preparing the valve cover. I'm going to put the valve cover gasket in, hold it in with a little bit of the right stuff here, and then set it down on the car, making sure to put a little bit of right stuff here in the corners where it starts to go up and over the cam. So, sorry, over here, right up and over the cam. And then, yeah, we'll tighten down the valve cover, and then we'll start changing the oil. Okay, so there we go. I've got the oil all drained out. I've got oil filter replaced, drain plug with the new gasket on. I'm going to go ahead and fill this thing with oil. I'm going to check and see how much oil it takes. I know it takes 530. I'm going to fill this thing with oil. I'm going to fire it up. I'm going to set my little coolant thing up here with some coolant in it and let it burp out all the air bubbles, since this will be the highest point right now. And then after that, I'm going to throw a bumper back on, and I think that's pretty much all the stuff that I'm going to do to this thing for now. In the future, though, this thing is going to get engine swapped, assuming I can get it registered and driving as it is for a little bit. But that's my plan for it. Okay, now as you guys can see, it's running. I have my little funnel up here. I'm filling it with coolant. It's been sitting here already a few minutes, so it's already pretty close to warm. It didn't lose that much coolant, honestly. So I'm going to go ahead and drive it here in a few minutes, but I don't know if you can see it. It has a little stumble every once in a while. And if you come back here, listen to the exhaust. That little kind of stumble. I'm thinking there's a restriction in the exhaust, because the engine purrs really well. runs pretty well too. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw the bumper back on here in just a minute, and I'm gonna go take it for a little drive, see what happens. I filled it with clutch fluid also because it's very low, almost out. So anyway, I will see you guys on the drive. All right, here we go. Little test drive. Okay, so that's going to be about it for today. I just went ahead and did a whole bunch of basic little maintenance things on this car, and hopefully it's going to be driving and going really soon, and it's going to be a pretty reliable little car, hopefully. I don't know. We're going to see. Only time will tell, really, with that. But anyway, that's going to be it for today. You guys will see this thing again here in the future, I'm sure, when stuff breaks, because stuff will break inevitably. And also when I decide that I'm going to swap the engine in, which will be in the next 6 months or so. And I'm thinking K-Series. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe a B-Series, though. I haven't really made my decision yet. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks.